This is my piano tutorial on infections of a different kind by Aurora. This piece is not so difficult to play, but it's quite a bit difficult to find out what to play, so this will be the most important part of this piece. First of all, I'm gonna show the different parts the song consists of, and then I'll make a playthrough. You'll have to notice that this song is played very freely. I have also made a transcript which we'll take a look at sometimes, but the rhythm is not really written down precisely because there are so many tempo changes in here, so you shouldn't take that too seriously. And I'd also like to add that this transcript is based on the live performance of Infections of a Different Kind, where Aurora plays this herself. I have taken the version of La Cigale in Paris as the blueprint for this transcription. It's very different on the record, and it's also very differently played when other musicians play this part. For instance, in the concert in the forest, there Aurora doesn't play it herself. So this is for people who like to sit down on their piano and maybe sing to it. If you plan to sing to it, you'll have to take into consideration that this piece is not so difficult to play, but it's quite difficult to sing. Okay, so we have different parts here. The song starts with a sequence of chords. Sometimes there is a repetition of the first chord included, sometimes not. Aurora plays it herself with the repetition, so we'll include that too. We start with, I'd like to add, we have 4 flats in this piece and sometimes an additional 5th flat. This is G flat, but this is changing quite frequently. Sometimes we have G flat, like here. Sometimes we have G without the flat, so you'll have to make sure that you don't confuse that. And so most of the time 4 flats. Nevertheless, the piece starts with C minor. So if the whole piece would be C minor, we'd only have 3 flats. But we have 4 flats, which fits to the key of A minor, and this is also the ending of the song, A major, sorry. So all in all, the piece mainly has the notes of A flat major. So start C minor, then D flat major, after that F minor, and then G minor. I'm not sure if the 5th of the chord is included or not. You can play it like this without the 5th, and you can add it, so this doesn't really matter. Also you can add the lower octave, which makes it very fat, but I wouldn't do that. The beginning is quite low, quite soft, so I play it like this. Very freely, don't use a click track on that. Then repeat it. And now we have the G flat with... Oh, that was wrong. I will repeat that. And then a lower key here. So here we have the G flat. You can play it like this. G flat, D flat, G flat, A flat, D flat. On the second repetition, Aurora adds another A flat, and you can do this all the time if you like. So it's like this. in La Cigale, first time she doesn't play it. You can also add more notes to it. That's the way she does it in her live stream. Then you repeat that. And G flat in the low. Now another repetition of the first two chords. And then we have a very different pattern. And this looks like this. If written down, you have a flat. You have basically an E flat major sus 4. That's the chord. And you play it like this. And then we have E flat without the thus. Then thus again, and this goes on like forever, and you have to take care of the bass line. So I played E flat thus 4, but in the bass we have an F, so this gives a very cool combination. That is why the song is easy to play but difficult to hear. Repeat it. Now we have this one. With some added notes. So that was the main part. We have the chords, we have the E flat sus with a bass line to it, and then in between you go to the higher register. So you have this, and then you have later on this. And this is mainly the complete song with lots of repetitions. Later on you have a slight change in the bass line. In the last part of the song you have okay, so now I'm gonna play it completely, and then after that I'm gonna play it with Aurora's original in the background so you can see where we are. So, beginning chords: C minor, D flat major, F minor, G minor, repetition, now G flat arpeggio and a low G flat. Repetition of the first three chords: C minor, D flat major, G flat arpeggio. Oh, made a mistake here. Repeat it. Now only two chords. And now the pattern. S notes. Rubato. Here's the famous vocal riff. Last time vocal riff, you have to play very freely here because of emphasis on the highest note. Now once again, last time. And here are the closing words of the song. Those are sung only, not played on the piano, only for reference, and then closed with a low A flat. So that is the complete song. Now I'm gonna repeat it with vocals and piano by Aurora in the background. Beginning. Pattern. So that was my piano tutorial. I'd like to add a little bit of music theory, because you might ask yourself why this sounds so cool, even though those are not very extremely difficult patterns. And that is why you have quite refined scales in this song. If you start at C and then D flat, you get a scale like this. Sorry, like this. And if you add the G flat, you get this scale. So this one is a Locrian scale, and this one is a Phrygian scale. And as Aurora says herself, she can't read music, she doesn't know about scores, so this is not something she thought of, this is something she came by being a genius. But if you want to understand why this is so difficult to hear and quite cool from the sound, it doesn't use a normal minor or major scale. That's the trick, no? And also having those patterns, keeping this one the same and just shifting the bass. You always end up getting cool sounds like this. And of course the singing is phenomenal on this. You have a extremely low notes going up to here, and I don't know of many pop singers who would do something like that in a soft number like Infections of a Different Kind. Really, really very beautiful piece. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial.